when most people imagine a billionaire, they picture private islands, fleets of luxury yachts, mansions scattered across the globe, and lifestyles so extravagant that they seem disconnected from reality. Billionaires are often associated with excess, privilege, and a constant display of wealth. Yet one man has managed to cultivate a very different image. That man is Jensen Huang. As the co-founder and CEO of NVIDIA, Huang has become one of the most powerful figures in the technology industry. Under his leadership, NVIDIA transformed from a graphics card company, serving gamers, into one of the most valuable corporations on Earth, powering the artificial intelligence revolution that is reshaping industries worldwide. As NVIDIA's stock soared to unimaginable heights, Jensen Huang's personal fortune exploded as well. Once worth millions, then billions, Huang's wealth surged into the tens of billions and eventually surpassed $100 billion. He joined the ranks of the world's richest individuals alongside names like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and Bernard Arnault. Yet despite his enormous wealth, many people view Huang differently from other billionaires. Unlike many tech leaders, who constantly dominate headlines with controversial statements, political battles, or lavish purchases, Huang often appears remarkably grounded. He is frequently seen wearing his signature black leather jacket, speaking passionately about technology rather than personal wealth. Employees describe him as demanding but deeply committed. Fans admire his humble beginnings and relentless work ethic. This raises an important question. Is Jensen Huang truly the modest billionaire everyone thinks he is, or is the image more complicated than it appears? To answer that question, we need to look beyond the headlines and explore the journey that transformed an immigrant child into one of the most influential people on the planet. Humble beginnings. Jensen Huang's story begins far from Silicon Valley. Born in Taiwan in 1963, Huang spent part of his early childhood there before his family made a life-changing decision. Seeking greater opportunities, they eventually moved to the United States. The transition was not easy. Like many immigrant families, the Huangs faced uncertainty and cultural challenges. At one point, young Jensen was sent to a boarding school in Kentucky. According to stories he has shared over the years, the school was far different from what his family expected. It was known for taking in troubled youth, and the environment was often difficult. For a child who barely spoke English, adapting to such circumstances was incredibly challenging. Yet those experiences may have helped shape the resilience that would later define him. Huang learned early that success was not guaranteed. He understood the value of hard work, perseverance, and self-reliance. Unlike many billionaires born into wealth or privilege, he did not inherit a business empire. He had to build his future from scratch. Eventually, Huang pursued engineering, earning a degree from Oregon State University, before later obtaining a master's degree from Stanford University. These educational experiences provided the foundation for what would become one of the most remarkable entrepreneurial journeys in modern history. The birth of NVIDIA in 1993, Jensen Huang and two fellow engineers founded NVIDIA. At the time, few people could have predicted the company's future. The technology industry was crowded with competitors. Numerous semiconductor firms were fighting for survival. The personal computer market was still evolving, and graphics processing was considered a niche field. NVIDIA's early years were filled with uncertainty. The company nearly failed multiple times. Cash was limited. Competition was fierce. Product launches did not always go as planned. Huang later admitted that, if he had known just how difficult building NVIDIA would be, he might never have started the company in the first place. That statement reveals something important about his character. Unlike some entrepreneurs who present success as an inevitable outcome, Huang openly discusses failure, fear, and doubt. He often speaks candidly about the immense challenges NVIDIA faced. One of the company's biggest breakthroughs came when it focused heavily on graphics processing units, or GPUs. Originally designed to improve gaming visuals, GPUs eventually proved useful for much more than entertainment. Scientists used them for complex calculations. Researchers applied them to machine learning. Engineers discovered they could accelerate massive computational workloads. as artificial intelligence began to emerge as a transformative technology, NVIDIA suddenly found itself in the perfect position. The GPUs that once powered video games became essential tools for training advanced AI systems, and Jensen Huang had spent decades preparing for that moment. The leather jacket billionaire. One of the reasons people perceive Huang as modest is his appearance. Every iconic business leader seems to develop a recognizable personal style. Steve Jobs had his black turtleneck, Mark Zuckerberg became known for gray t-shirts, Jensen Huang has his black leather jacket. At first glance, it may seem trivial, but personal image plays a powerful role in shaping public perception. Huang rarely appears dressed like a stereotypical billionaire executive. He often avoids flashy displays of wealth and instead presents himself as an engineer obsessed with technology. His public appearances focus heavily on innovation, artificial intelligence, semiconductors, and future technologies. When people watch him speak, they are more likely to hear discussions about computational architecture than luxury lifestyles. This contrasts sharply with some wealthy figures whose personal purchases frequently dominate media coverage. As a result, Huang's reputation has become closely tied to intellect, innovation, and engineering rather than wealth. But appearance alone does not determine modesty. To truly understand the man, we need to look deeper. How employees view him. Perhaps one of the most revealing aspects of Jensen Huang's leadership. Numerous current and former employees have described him as intensely demanding. He is known for maintaining extremely high standards. Meetings can be rigorous, mistakes are scrutinized. Expectations are enormous. In some respects, Huang's management style is the opposite of easygoing, yet many employees also describe a leader who remains deeply engaged with the company. Unlike executives who become detached as organizations grow, Huang is known for involving himself directly in technical discussions. He reportedly receives large volumes of information and expects transparency throughout the company. Some workers admire this approach because it creates accountability. Others find it stressful. What is difficult to dispute, however, is his commitment. Even after achieving extraordinary wealth, Huang continues to operate with the intensity of a founder fighting for survival. Many billionaires eventually shift their focus toward leisure, investments, or personal projects. Huang still appears consumed by NVIDIA's mission. That dedication contributes significantly to his image as a grounded leader. The wealth question, of course, modesty becomes harder to evaluate when discussing someone worth more than many small nations. Jensen Huang's net worth has skyrocketed due to NVIDIA's incredible success. As AI demand exploded, NVIDIA's valuation reached unprecedented levels. The company's chips became essential infrastructure for artificial intelligence development. Tech giants competed aggressively for NVIDIA hardware. Investors poured money into the company. Why? The result was a dramatic increase in Huang's personal fortune. With such immense wealth, can anyone truly be considered modest? The answer depends on how we define the term. If modesty means having little money, then clearly not. Huang is one of the richest individuals alive. However, if modesty refers to behavior, public image, and personal conduct, the discussion becomes more nuanced. Unlike some billionaires who regularly showcase extravagant purchases, Huang's wealth is often less visible. He rarely makes headlines for buying mega yachts. He rarely dominates gossip magazines. He rarely appears eager to display his fortune publicly. This distinction has helped reinforce the perception that he remains relatively humble, despite extraordinary wealth. The power behind the image. Yet there is another side to the story. Jensen Huang may appear modest, but he is also one of the most powerful corporate leaders in the world. Power itself can sometimes be overlooked when people focus exclusively on personality. Consider NVIDIA's influence. Its technology impacts industries ranging from healthcare to defense. Governments monitor NVIDIA's products closely because advanced chips play critical roles in national security and technological competition. Major corporations depend on NVIDIA hardware. Researchers rely on its platforms. Entire AI ecosystems are built around its technology. As CEO, Huang sits at the center of these developments. His decisions can influence markets, industries, and technological progress worldwide. That level of influence is extraordinary. while he may not flaunt luxury in traditional ways, he possesses a different form of power that is arguably even more significant. Understanding this distinction helps create a more balanced picture. Modesty in personal style does not eliminate immense influence. Why people trust him. One reason Jensen Huang enjoys widespread admiration is credibility. Over decades, he developed a reputation for long-term thinking. Many executives focus on quarterly earnings. Huang often emphasizes visions, extending years or even decades into the future. When NVIDIA invested heavily in AI long before it became fashionable, many observers questioned the strategy. The investments appeared risky, the returns were uncertain, but Huang remained committed. Years later, those decisions proved transformational. This consistency has earned trust among investors, employees, and industry observers. People tend to view leaders as authentic when their actions align with their words. Huang's reputation benefits from this perception. He appears less interested in public relations campaigns, and more focused on executing long-term plans. Whether entirely accurate or not, that image has become central to his identity. Comparing him to other billionaires, part of Huang's modest reputation comes from comparison. Consider some of the world's most famous billionaires. Many are known for public feuds, others attract attention through political controversies. Some become celebrities in their own right. Compared to these figures, Huang often appears remarkably restrained. He rarely seeks unnecessary attention. He avoids many social media battles. He generally focuses discussions on technology rather than personal branding. As a result, audiences frequently perceive him as more grounded. However, comparisons can sometimes be misleading. A person may appear modest simply because others are more flamboyant. The real question is not whether Huang is less flashy than certain billionaires. The question is whether his actions consistently reflect humility and restraint. In many ways, they do, but no billionaire completely escapes the realities of immense wealth and influence. The cult of the founder. Another factor worth considering is how successful founders are portrayed. Society often romanticizes entrepreneurial success stories. When a founder builds a company from nothing into a global powerhouse, people naturally admire the achievement. That admiration can sometimes evolve into hero worship. Supporters emphasize positive traits while overlooking complexities. Critics focus on flaws while ignoring accomplishments. The truth usually exists somewhere in between. Jensen Huang is neither a flawless hero nor a cynical corporate villain. He is a highly driven entrepreneur who spent decades building one of the world's most important technology companies. His success reflects extraordinary intelligence, persistence, and vision. At the same time, he operates within a competitive corporate environment where difficult decisions are inevitable. Recognizing both realities allows for a more accurate assessment. What modesty really means. Perhaps the biggest challenge in answering our original question is defining modesty itself. Does modesty mean living like an average person? If so, no billionaire qualifies. Does it mean avoiding unnecessary displays of wealth? Huang largely fits as that description. Does it mean remaining connected to one's roots? His personal story suggests he has maintained strong appreciation for the struggles that shaped him. Does it mean focusing on work rather than status? Again, much of his career supports that interpretation. The complexity arises because modesty exists on a spectrum. It is not a simple yes or no characteristic. A person can be extraordinarily wealthy while still behaving in relatively humble ways. Likewise, a person with modest means can be arrogant. Character and wealth do not always move together. The final verdict. So, is Jensen Huang the modest billionaire everyone thinks he is? The answer appears to be both yes and no. Yes, because compared to many public figures of similar wealth, Huang often demonstrates remarkable restraint. He rarely seeks attention for personal luxury. He emphasizes technology over celebrity. He speaks openly about failure, hard work, and perseverance. His journey from immigrant child to global business leader resonates with people because it feels authentic. But also no. At least not entirely. Huang is not simply a humble engineer working quietly in a laboratory. He is one of the most powerful individuals in modern business. His company influences industries across the globe. His wealth exceeds what most people can even imagine. His decisions help shape the future of artificial intelligence and computing. The reality is more nuanced than either extreme. Jensen Huang may genuinely possess many qualities associated with modesty. Discipline, focus, gratitude, and a lack of excessive self-promotion. Yet he is also a billionaire titan, whose influence extends far beyond the image of a humble technologist. Perhaps that combination is exactly what makes him so fascinating. In an era when many wealthy individuals attract attention through spectacle, Jensen Huang stands out because he often lets his work speak louder than his wealth. Whether history ultimately remembers him as a modest billionaire, a visionary entrepreneur, or one of the architects of the AI age, one thing is certain: his story is far more complex, and far more interesting, than a simple label can capture.